When I was 17, I was an artsy indie rock snob.
Illinois native Patrick Stump found fame as frontman of the popular pop-punk band Fall Out Boy in the early 2000s. After years of success and 7 studio albums with Fall Out Boy, Patrick is branching out into the solo scene, releasing his own album, Soul Punk, this spring.
I grew up in Glenview, Illinois, which is about 10 to 15 minutes north of Chicago. And when I was 17, I was definitely an artsy indie rock snob. Everything else that everyone else was listening to was just beneath me. At school, I would show up to classes and not do any of the work. Like, I couldn't possibly have cared less about doing my homework.
The teachers that I would talk to would be just frustrated. He's so smart, he just doesn't do his homework.
I didn't do a lot of the right things, but I never did the wrong things. While everyone else is hopping the fence, I'm the kid on the other side of the fence like, we're gonna get caught, man. We really shouldn't do this. We're gonna get caught. When I was 17, I cut my own hair and always did a botched job on it. It was terrible. It did not look cool at all, but I was so convinced that it was. I would take the barber clippers and I would buzz my head and, straight on it would look fine. But you would always miss these hairs around your ears.
So it was just like kind of these long strands right over here. It was a weird look.
So every so often they'd like flop over and I'd have like this weird like owl thing going on. And it was horrible. The haircut thing was not the best idea, probably.
Let's take a listen to the tunes Fall Out Boy frontman Patrick Stump and Jersey Shore's Dina Cortese were loving when they were 17. When he was 17 in 2001, aspiring songwriter Patrick was all about the lyrics.
It was kind of like threefold. Like, I was really into Elvis Costello, I was really into Marvin Gaye, and I was really, really into Tom Waits. I loved how he sung, even though he had the gravelly voice. His lyrics were just poetry to me. When I was 17, the school I went to high school at has a radio station, and I ran the board, and I was the DJ. It was a weekly show. I would play a lot of punk because it was an alternative station, and I had this great teacher, Del Kennedy.
Patrick was a lot of fun. He was very deep. He was a philosopher.
So one day I was doing my show and I was having some sort of banter with one of the co-host people or something, and I go to commercial or whatever, and my teacher comes stomping in, like really mad. She's like, "What did you just say?" I'm like, "I don't know." She's like, "Rewind tape. I want to hear what you just said."
He was on the air and he dropped an F-bomb.
She's like, "You said the F word. I hear it right there." But I was really certain that I didn't say anything. I think it was like something like, "Who cares?" Like, it was in that kind of context where I was like,
He said that it sounded like a...
And we went back and forth, and ultimately she won.
As a consequence, I had to remove him from the air for a time. Sorry, Patrick.
I will maintain my innocence to the day I die. I did not swear on the radio, but I was a pretentious little rock snob, so I probably needed to be put in my place anyway.
Pop quiz. Why did Patrick Stump quit a band when he was 17? Was it because he hated the band's name, the bass player stole his girlfriend, or his bandmates wouldn't let him write songs? See if you guessed right when we come back.
I can't stress enough how misguidedly arrogant I was when I was 17. I was in this band that I thought was really cool, but they wouldn't let me write songs. And it wasn't just that we had like one songwriter, it was that everyone else wrote songs, but I was the drummer, so I wasn't allowed to write songs.
When he picked up a guitar and first started trying to write songs, the songs were in his head. Maybe they were great, but they didn't translate to the actual instrument.
I'd been writing songs and I really cared about it. It was something that I really wanted, and they never really gave in. So I quit. I expected there had to be somebody that was going to come out of the woodwork and be like, "Oh, you should play drums in our band." No one. I got no calls. So I was at Borders and I struck up a conversation with Joe, guitar player for Fall Out Boy. He was like, "Yeah, we're going to be a pop-punk band. We need a drummer, a singer, and a guitar player." And I totally bluffed. I was like, I could do one of those in a pop-punk band, totally, right? Never sung before. I didn't own a guitar. I knew that I was going to be the drummer, but I just really wanted anybody to take me seriously as a songwriter, you know? Audition was not really much of an audition. He came into my basement, and I played him some songs I had written on acoustic guitar. And they go, yeah, we don't like any of those songs, but we'll let you sing. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's something, you know, that's new, I'll try that.
He opened up his mouth and started singing, and it was great, and they found their lead singer.
And ultimately, they let me write songs, and I was happy. So that's when I stuck around. I was like, this band's all right, you know? When I was 17, I was playing a solo show. It was at kind of like a house party at our friend's house in Milwaukee, and my friend drove me, and we don't know much about Milwaukee, you know, we don't know where we are. And we're at the first stop sign, and it's like totally dead and quiet, so he kind of just rolls through the stop sign. At exactly the same time, somebody's going like 60. He did not roll through a stop sign, he blew a stop sign, right? And we collide. My friend gets out to go exchange insurance information because we're little dorky suburban kids, and these four hard-ass dudes get out, and the first guy, the driver, knocks my friend's teeth out.
Basically, instead of exchanging insurance information, they exchange fists.
Not saying anything, right? Like, just bam! Then that same guy, that driver, comes over to my door, opens up my door, he like picks me out of the car, right? Like by the shoulders, sets me on the sidewalk, and he goes, "You're gonna walk that way, and you're not gonna turn around ever," right? And I start walking. I think I rounded a corner, hid behind a house, and I waited until they left. So the cops show up. They're like, "You understand this is a high drug trafficking area?" I'm like, "I guess I do now, yeah."
I don't think he likes Milwaukee now to this day.
Anyway, he ended up getting his teeth fixed and everything's okay, but it was one of these scarier things. And it's not Milwaukee's fault. We didn't know where we were, so.